Hey guys, Luantha here, aka Lance at 634, and we've got League of Legends patch 918. As always, I don't read the notes prior, and at most, I only see tweets here and there regarding upcoming patches. So I don't really follow PBE or Surrender at 20 or any of those sites. So mostly this is just me giving you what my initial thoughts are of the patch, and with a little bit of pro spicing in there. So let's just get on into it and see what we got. Big thing, I've seen this all over Twitter. Star Guardians are coming back. We've got Star Guardian, Xayah, Rakan, Nico, and Zoe. Super hype. Nico's got a prestige skin, and those drop September 12th. So what is that? That's Thursday. So September 12th, you got Star Guardians. I don't believe there is an event for it. There might be like an event pass, but there's no like specific game mode, unfortunately. Riot's talked about that, and they're looking to do more kinds of those events in the future, starting probably next year again, which makes sense. They've had a lot of resources into TFT this year, but we'll see how that functions. But now into the champion changes. A quick thought before we go into this any further is this is patch 918. Worlds is played on patch 919. So this is the patch right before Worlds. So they're trying to balance out these things. There won't be too many changes in 919, to be honest, because they're not going to really get to see pro play with pro play playing on 918. So they're going to have to be going off of just some thoughts that they're having or some things that they see in solo queue. A lot of this is going to be geared towards what they've seen in the regional finals, and then next patch will be the last final changes before they push what they're going to have everyone play on at Worlds, and hopefully they've gotten it right. So Aatrox, he now only heals 25% when hitting a minion. It's 100% to monsters and champions still. So jungle Aatrox can kind of work, but it's going to really smack his landing phase, his safety, and then his Q also is getting, it's now 40% damage to minions instead of 50 to 100. So Aatrox is losing a lot of wave clear and a lot of passive healing off of minions, and they're trying to pull all that so he's not such a safe pick and he's just blind pickable into pro meta. I think this is going to do exactly what they're trying to do, and I really don't think we'll see too much Aatrox. Because you haven't been picking him for the late game. You've been picking him as a mid game spike. Let's smash a lane, and we're gonna have an easy early lane. Well, this is really going to kneecap that. Next up, we've got Akali. Again, a very big pro meta abused champion. Looks like the gist is our cooldown increased early, R1 stun is gone, R2 base maximum damage decreased early. So she lost her stun on her R1, which was a half second before. It's just gone now. There's no micro stun on there. There's nothing. So I'm wondering if a Katarina could be picked into this now, because Katarina ult would just be stand in her cloak and just press R, and it would just destroy her. R2 max damage. They took away, it looks, 60 damage at rank 1, 30 at rank 2, and nothing at rank 3. So a lot weaker, a lot less outplay potential early game, plus the cooldown is up 40 seconds at rank 1, 20 seconds at rank 2, and still the same at rank 3. So if you get to rank 3, it's going to feel roughly the same. Still, again, no stun, but the early game prowess that Akali was able to get with 6 and with 11 is a lot more diminished than it has been, and that might finally push her out of pro play. We'll have to see. I feel like some people will try to play it. I'm not sure how much success they're going to see. Alright, Annie. Okay, so Annie now gets movement speed from her E. 25% plus 1.5% per level decaying, bonus movement speed over a 1.5 second duration. They smacked her damage reduction. That's a lot less damage reduction, but they've increased the cooldown. Okay, so tank Annie is a lot less viable, but now that she has a more reliable engage, and she has a trading pattern now. She can E in with damage reduction to get off stuns. And my first thought is that this makes her almost viable support. You have a lot of damage, point and click stun, and now you have a movement speed steroid with a slight DR on your E. I mean, it's only 10% DR at rank 1, but that's something. It's 15 seconds on cooldown, which means it's similar-ish to Blitzcrank Pull, I believe. So, like, she can't just spam it, but I believe the mana cost is low. So, Annie support anyone? That'd be pretty cool. Bring that back into pro play. I'm not sure how viable it's going to be. I think Alistar hard counters it, and Alistar's a monster, and since we're past Alistar, he's probably not getting nerfed. But it'd be cool to see Annie support. I don't think you'll see her in any other roles, though. Aurelion Sol, who just got the huge change last patch, is now getting 65 more base health. And part of that is he has so much counterplay, he's taking so much damage, he needs more base stats to really survive in that laning phase. And this really gives it to him. Really hope Aurelion Sol makes it into Worlds at some point. But we'll have to see still. Caitlyn, +2 base AD. Sure, yeah. I don't think Caitlyn really needed it. I think she was already a solid pick, but the bot lane meta is literally just, you have a lane dominant team, and you have either a team going complete scaling, or someone that's also lane dominant, and there's butting heads. This should solidify Caitlyn as more of one of the more bully AD carries. We'll have to see what else comes out for changes. I know right now it's been a lot of Xayah, Ezreal, and Kai'Sa have been like the 3 trinity, so to speak. I know we saw Kog'Maw and LEC last weekend, but not many people are really playing Kog'Maw, so I think it's fine. I think Caitlyn's been seeing some fringe picks. I think this pushes her a little bit better. It's 2 base AD. I mean, it helps you with last hitting too. Overall, we'll see. It's probably going to be like a 1% solo Q increase too. Echo changes. His W mana cost down 20 at all ranks. Its stun is up a half second. And they're saying that their previous buffs in 9.16 didn't go as far as we wanted, nudging him towards a more aggressive playstyle with higher payout and lower cost. So they didn't hit the cooldown, which is big, because that means you can't really spam it. But the fact that it's a lower cooldown and the increased stun duration means that if you hit this on a tower dive, like, there's just no counterplay, you're dead. I'm not really sure if that was the way to go with it for Echo buffs, and I didn't really think he needed buffs. But I mean, it's another something that, you know, Echo players get to use, and I really think we'll see Echo being played at Worlds. I think you might see him as a flex early pick, maybe even a force ban, because he is so flexible. Just in my mind, it reminds me of Tank Echo, where you had Tank Echo, Jungle Echo, Mid Echo are all viable. I'm not too certain how viable all 3 of those roles are currently. I think Mid Echo's definitely got a pick into Syndra, because Syndra got buffed recently. But, you know, maybe it's only a Mid Echo pick. If that's the case, then Echo's not going to be pick ban. He's going to be a counter pick. But he's going to be a viable one at Worlds, which is cool because there's a lot of counterplay to it. Overall, I like what Riot's done to get him there. Eve, her R now amps, does 140% against enemies below 30% max health. At that point, if you're at 30% max health, you are just straight up dead. You might as well make an execute like Pyke. And then the empowered damage is up 50, 100, 150 at the 3 ranks, and it has plus 0.3 ability power scaling. Holy moly. Alright, so they just nerfed Eve's clear 2 patches ago, and now they're going to buff her R damage. Honestly, out the wazoo. This is a lot of damage. Just base kit damage, 900 plus 1.8 ability power. You don't technically have to build full AP on her anymore, but her passive wants AP, and there's no really benefit in building tank stats with her besides maybe a proto belt for W engage. But I could see this being a pick into certain junglers. The problem is her early clear is a little weak, So you're going to have to figure out how do you play your comp around it. Or somehow you figure out how to play Eve mid or something, and you just play Eve mid, and you just do it that way. But I doubt people see that. But it used to be meta. Who knows? Jhin +2 base AD. This is really scary because of how much he multiplies AD on himself. But this lets him keep up with Caitlyn, and really Jhin into Caitlyn is kind of a 50-50. It's a little Caitlyn favored early, but I mean, it's Jhin. Jhin pro play is if he's able to play into Caitlyn, then you're gonna see a lot of Jhin blind picks because Jhin just sets up teams so well. And teams that have multiple carry laners, things that come to mind are the G2s are going to be picking up the Jhin just because they're going to be able to not have the AD carry go, but you'll have the support go with the jungle to invade, and the Jhin just sits there and waits to W follow up. He gets to hard push the bot wave still, gets all that farm, denies CS while they're getting vision, while they're killing the enemy jungler. Interesting. Again, it's not too much of a buff, but it is something. It's also going to help with CS, of course. Probably, again, 1% increase in his win rate in solo queue. Kai'Sa, her E supercharge is losing 20% at max rank. No change at rank 1, and this is kind of her last thing she upgrades. So really, it's a little bit of her late game potential as Kai'Sa, and really, that's a fine hit. I don't think it's really going to impact her at all in pro play. Just because, just like how Jhin can W engage to far targets, Kai'Sa can just R engage and be there. So again, I think we're going to be seeing, with what we've seen so far, it's going to be Jhin, Caitlyn, Kai'Sa in that bot lane. Ezreal's not getting changed, but he did get that E nerf. I feel like some teams might safety pick it, but I don't feel like that's going to win them games, especially at Worlds where it's going to be abused heavily. We'll have to we'll have to see how it pans out, but I think that that's kind of where the meta is shifting for bot lane. Not necessarily bad. It's very early to mid game fight focus. That's what the meta in the entire league is at the moment. And this change doesn't really hurt that. It does bring in other hyper carries, though, to fight a Kai'Sa and win late game. Kayle, base passive damage on her E is increased. So it's 5 damage at all ranks. Oh, this is your E passive. So basically every auto gets 5 extra damage. That's so good. So we didn't do it on stream, but I've tried Kayle support. Feels really good. The Q feels a little different. But again, if you're looking for something similar to Tark and Tark Sona bot lane, running a Kayle support with your a hyper carry, like a Twitch, a Cog, because she has a movement speed steroid and she has invulnerability, and so she can abuse Ardent Sensor too. So there's a lot of interesting things you can do with Kayle that I feel like a lot of teams are just not taking the time to do. It'd be really cool to see G2 pull something out with it, but I don't think we'll see her at this Worlds, unfortunately. Lee Sin's getting, 4.2 health, 0.8 attack damage, and his R is getting 25 damage at all ranks. Okay, this is a slight buff to Lee, and any buff to Lee is big because Lee doesn't get too many buffs, and he's kind of fringe picked already as a comfort pick in jungle for pro. So I see this probably helping his case in that role. Again, very good early to mid game fighter. Doesn't do too well late game, but you're going to smash so hard, it just doesn't matter. You win as G2 in 18 minutes. That's kind of what the Lee Sin they're trying to. That's the Lee Sin they're promoting, and they're not really changing his scaling at all. They're just giving him a little cleaner numbers and saying, hey, here's some R damage for you. Go nuts. And I think we'll see some people go nuts on Lee Sin. It's just so much skill expression. It's so fun. MF. MFC is barely worth casting at its first rank when considering the trade-off in mana, so we're buffing it the early ranks, so they're just giving it an extra 12% slow at rank 1. Holy! So max rank is the same, and it scales up from there. It's 5% scaling instead of 8, which is a wonky number. 8, wait, is that 8, 6? Yeah, it's just 8 all the way. Okay, but still, it's 12% more slow at rank 1 now, and in my thought is Zyra was buffed last patch, and the big counter that came out of Zyra meta at Worlds like 3 or 4 years ago was MF counters it. Because MFQ bounces off, you can hit the backline and kill a plant, 2 birds, 1 stone. Well, this is a rank 1 E buff to an MF. So that makes me think that, hey, we're worried about Zyra support being a thing at Worlds. Let's buff MF support to, because MF support will use this. Like, E is what she wants. 12% slow for a support champion that's going to try to go a little pokey, fantastic. So maybe we'll see some MF support in the bot lane with a poke style champion like the Caitlyn, where you can slow enough and maybe get a trap underneath them and blow them up. Or even just comets, like Comet Ash, Comet MF, and just MF slow Ash W, they can't move and they eat 2 comets. Nunu Willump, he has been very strong in solo queue, hasn't really seen any pro play because it's very choreographed. So they're doing some slight tweaks. A lot of this is nerfs, lower health growth, lower armor growth, lower mana regen, and his E Snowball Barrage is now getting nerfed at rank 1, but it still feels the same at max rank. It's gonna hurt his win rate in solo queue. I don't think it doesn't really impact pro play because this isn't a pro play nerf. This is entirely a solo queue nerf. Because he's been the top of the solo queue win rates for I think almost a month now, not 2. So deserved. It's not gonna kill him either. This is gonna be totally fine. He's just gonna be a little more killable. And then we've got Teemo getting some quality of life and mushroom adjustments. So we've got blinded targets now see a green light around their screen when they're affected by Teemo Q. Okay. Interesting. I guess instead of just being black, it's going to be green. His move quick icon will have a bar above it showing its active duration. That's nice. His R mushrooms will trigger more responsively, especially on enemies dashing through them. Okay. Rift Sculler no longer triggers them when not in combat, so you can trigger them when they're in combat. And Leapfrog mushrooms can now bounce once off each other infinitely. You can bounce a mushroom like through turrets into backliners. Oh my god, that's gonna be. This is so funny. I hope we get some garbage games of Teemo, where people are just bouncing mushrooms into the under 3 towers or something. And then the max charges, you get to hold more mushrooms per R rank. So if you rank 2 R, it's 4. Rank 3 R, it's 5. So more toxicity. It's about time Teemo got some buffs and some quality of life changes. I think the R's a little strong, but again, not going to impact pro play. It's only solo queue changes. Warwick change, noting a bug fix because it's a major buff to Warwick. Now properly gains attack speed against all blood hunted enemies. Yeah, it was only his first blood hunted previously, I believe. So this is a huge buff in that you don't blow up a support, get blood hunted on him, and then no longer get your attack speed. I still don't think Warwick will be played in pro because it's Warwick. It's straightforward. There's counters. But again, I think Warwick takes the top of solo queue for win rate. I think he passes Nunu now. But that's about it. Xayah, so Xayah's been literally the pick or ban AD carry for LEC and LCS finals, and I'm sure in other regions. So they're taking the bat to her, and for her reliability, they're going to take her armor down 3. So that's base armor, so she's not going to trade as well in lane anymore. And now her R has, again, 20 more seconds of cooldown at all ranks. So you're going to feel this buff at all phases of the game. She's going to have a weaker early game and an overall more of a window of opportunity to engage on her. Whether this pushes her out of meta, I'm not entirely certain, because she is very, 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 very good. And you can just play around an extra 20 seconds. That's not a problem. But if Caitlyn buff, Jen buff, Kai'Sa's still solid in lane, that missing armor is going to make laning a little bit worse, especially when you don't have Rakan with her, and which most teams have been going, we'll take Xayah, the other team takes Rakan, and that's it. Note there's no Rakan nerfs in here, and I'm really surprised about that, because Rakan's been pick, ban, steal away in almost every game I've seen between the two finals. So wouldn't be surprised to see that be a nerf in 9-19. But maybe they're not going to touch him, because, again, maybe if Xayah drops him priority, so does Rakan. And then Zoe's getting a little bit of a buff. She's getting a little bit more damage at all ranks. 6 more damage at all ranks. A little more than 6. 6, 8, 8, 6, 6. 6 at rank 1, 6 at rank 3 at level, so 6 at level 1, 6 at level 18. And the numbers are all janky in there, but it scales by 4 every level now, instead of the old janky mess that it was. Oh wait, no, it's just a mess of janky numbers. Riot, why do you do this to us? Okay, either way, it's a buff. She gets 6 more at rank 1, 6 more at rank 8 at level 18. This is level based. It's all in her passive. So they're increasing the one-shot burst, as they say. I mean, sure, whatever you want to do, Riot. Zoe's obnoxious to play against, and I will laugh if she comes back to meta. But I still think Syndra counters her so well that Syndra might just blow her up anyways. They have some new options for Screen Shake. So you can turn off, it's on by default, but you can turn it off. Which is interesting that they added screen shake. I'll probably turn it off, actually, just so I don't have to deal with it and the strain on the eyes. And then there's some visual sliders. So everything but the UI will change, and that'll help you highlight visual differences in game more quickly. That's interesting. I don't know. I'm kind of interested that they put that in there, because depending on the skin you play, depends on what you're going to want your visual slider to be. But it'll be interesting to see if I can make some skills pop out a little more so you can see them a little better. Overall, good stuff. It's about time they have this kind of stuff in the game. Bug fixes. There's a mess of bug fixes in here because they're trying to clear out as many of these bugs as they can before Worlds. So I'm not going to read through all of them. There's just a very long list. But I'm going to slowly scroll through. Shaco, Diana, Jinx, Talia allow a Bard's Meep Cone now properly breaks spell shields, and Karthus passive grants vision around walls with when he casts W. Overall, good bug fixes. Really nothing too insane here. So just more quality of life. Hey, this bug didn't occur, so it doesn't occur anymore kind of things. I'm always down for bug fixes. Think they should do more of them. Think they should do a whole patch just bug fixing, but that's just me. And then we've got upcoming skins and chromas again. At the top we talked about it, but there is a Prestige Nico skin, regular Star Guardian Nico, and then Star Guardian Xayah and Rakan, and Star Guardian Zoe. If you haven't seen the interactions they all have, check that out at, I think it's Skin Spotlight's YouTube. They have them. They're awesome. You'll never play the game and find them all unless you play a ton of League. So I always just I'll go watch that when I go get the skin, just so I can see all the interactions, so I know some of the interactions and I can listen for them. But there's really good ones. So I've been told. Check that out. And of course there's chromas, because everything needs chromas. And that is it for 9.18. So this puts us one patch from Worlds. Worlds is on 9.19 again. And I expect next patch super short, probably won't change too much in the game. You'll see a couple champions get nudged probably mostly just champions getting buffed up to standards. Maybe some nerfs on some very high priority picks like the Rakan. Maybe even Thresh might see some because he's been getting a lot of picks in pro play. But overall, it won't be too much different. So if you're looking to grind some elo out, this patch is really the start of it. You want to grind from about 918 to 919, because 920 is when they're going to start preseason smacking the game really hard with things that are completely new. It's not necessarily preseason, but it's post-Worlds. They don't care as much, and they're willing to take more risk. So if you're looking to climb, you got about 4 weeks starting tomorrow, because it'll be 2 weeks on 918, 2 weeks on 919. And that's it for the patch. If you like this patch note video, like below. Subscribe to the channel if you like more of this content. And let me know what you guys think on especially the Echo. I really think Echo's possibly going to become the new flex pick across 3 roles. And I really think Annie's support might actually come back. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time.